What does the story of Adam and Eve teach us? The story of Adam and Eve is the most popular story in Genesis. There are many lessons we can learn from it. It contains meaningful life lessons and truth about who we are. Join us as we review the top 7 lessons we can learn from the story of Adam and Eve. Number 1. Trust only in God. Instead of placing her trust in God, Eve decided to trust a strange talking serpent. Oftentimes, we would rather place our trust in other people and beliefs than to trust in God. Only God knows what is best for us. Number 2. Be responsible for your actions. Adam and Eve didn't take responsibility for their actions. Instead of admitting he was wrong, Adam blamed Eve. He said, "The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me fruit of the tree, and I ate." Genesis 3 verse 12. Instead of admitting she was wrong, Eve blamed the snake. She said, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." Genesis 3 verse 13. Number 3. Satan's strategies. As soon as Adam and Eve were away from God's presence, Satan entered the serpent to attack the mind of Eve by manipulating her. Eve didn't resist and fell for the trap. Most of us tend to be like this. The moment we don't go to church or read the Bible, Satan tries to attack our minds by distracting us with numerous things that isn't of God. Satan will eventually convince us that other things such as entertainment and sports are more important than God. But I am afraid that just as Eve was deceived by the serpent's cunning, your minds may somehow be led astray from your sincere and pure devotion to Christ. 2 Corinthians 11 verse 3. Number 4. Patience is a virtue. Adam and Eve wanted to have the same wisdom that God had. They couldn't wait for God to teach them at His pace. God placed the tree of knowledge in the middle of the garden because He intended Adam and Eve to eat from it when they were mature enough to do so. The Lord is not slow to fulfill His promise, as some count slowness, but is patient toward you. 2 Peter 3 verse 9. Patience is a virtue. We must be patient to receive God's blessings. Number 5. Be aware of the consequences of our actions. Since Adam and Eve disobeyed God, mankind lost their authority on earth and is born of sin. Saint or sinner, our judgment for sin is a place in hell. Therefore, just as sin entered the world through one man, and death through sin, and in this way death came to all people, because all sinned. Romans 5 verse 12. Jesus Christ died on the cross so that we may live through Him and avoid hell when we die. Be reminded that our actions will always have consequences. If we don't live a life like Jesus, we could end up in hell. Number 6. Choose only one path. The tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil represent the two ways of life, living righteously and in sin. Adam and Eve started sinning when they ate from the tree of knowledge, hence they couldn't eat from the tree of life anymore. This would probably resonate with people who live a double life. You can't go to the nightclub or bar on Saturday, then go to church on Sunday. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. James 1 verse 8. Number 7. Learn to forgive. God forgave Adam and Eve for their sins. He made clothes for them, and He blessed them with many children. Eve forgave Adam for blaming her. This is one important lesson we should understand. We should have forgiveness in our hearts because it frees us from resentment towards others. If we can't forgive, there's no way we can truly love anybody. The story of Adam and Eve aims to explain that while we have a conscience and tendency to do good, we are also born with a tendency to sin. The price for disobeying God is very high. Using free will to go against God's commands could make us regret our actions. The temptation of Adam and Eve was part of God's plan to bring redemption to humans. We must trust that He is in control and in charge, always. Thanks for joining us today. Please visit www.wisdombegun.com/Genesis for more thought-provoking discussions on the Book of Genesis plus free downloads and presentations about the Genesis story, ideal for use at Bible study groups or Sunday school lessons. Wisdom Begun. God's Words delivered daily.